What's up? What's up? It's Eric Haas with the Haas Group. We have some craziness going on with this coronavirus just whooping on our market, our economy. There's not really any clear picture painted right now with respects to real estate. I mean, we're going off of numbers that are 30 and 45 days old, which puts us, prior to this coronavirus being such a widespread epidemic. And even myself thought 2.5, 3 weeks ago that this wasn't something that was going to be so crazy. And now we find ourselves currently being in Los Angeles. I mean, we find ourselves in a national state of emergency with everything closing down. Schools are closed down. I mean, everybody is experiencing something. Brick and mortar is closing up too. So deliveries are kind of the only thing now. So it's a state of chaos, and we really got to come together and just be there for one another. But also on top of it, we've got an economy that's going crazy. I mean, we've got a drop in 3,700 points off the Dow. That's just like what we experienced in 1987 with the recession. I mean, I was talking with a client today, and we were talking about, the responsibilities now as an adult with such a crisis. And I can remember back to the 1994 earthquake where I was just 14 years old, and it was like, hey, this is great. I'm off school. I don't have finals. I don't have to worry about a thing. But then there were my parents who were like worrying about the insurance, getting the house back together, getting it rebuilt and whatnot. So, wow. I mean, my hat goes off to everybody who's gone through these types of crises, because it's a lot to deal with and a lot to juggle. And so what's happening as far as the real estate market goes? Well, I want to break it down to you and keep you crystal clear as to how it's going to impact people going forward. They're not sure about the market, the volatility, the ambiguity of it all. And a lot of them are pulling out. A lot of them are canceling escrows. On top of that, a lot of them feeling that the market is adjusting in their favor because of this coronavirus. So they're setting up negotiations to renegotiate price, renegotiate credits, renegotiate anything in the contract basically, or they're walking, which is crazy. But more importantly, most buyers are not even looking to buy right now. The market is just too volatile, and a lot of the times they don't want to get their money tied up in a market where they might need that money for this current emergency that we're all going through and experiencing. On top of that, the stock market, obviously, as I mentioned, has already been decimated, and a lot of people have their down payment rolled into the stock market. So, the down payment's no longer there. So buyers are not going to be looking right now. They're going to be sitting on the sidelines. They're going to be anticipating the change, when the change is going to happen, hopefully soon. But let's take another perspective. Sellers, it's going to really be hard to sell your home without private showings, open houses, brokers, caravans, and the normal traditional ways of having people through your home. Obviously, a seller is not going to want to have random people walking through their home day in and day out, especially with germs and especially with this coronavirus going on, making everyone feel crazy and not wanting to touch one another and being completely antisocial. I totally get it. But on top of that, we don't have any buyers that are looking anyway. So it's really hard to sell your home when a lot of buyers, as I mentioned before, are feeling the market's too volatile and they're sitting on the sidelines. Number 3 is investors. Now, you would think some investors would be totally stoked about this opportunity, and some are. I have a client that lives around the corner from me. He bought his house all cash. He's doing fine. He sold his company last year and made a good boatload of money. So he's sitting pretty and looking to take advantage. But I know 99% of us are not in that position, and my hat goes off to you guys just to keep hanging in there and being strong. For the most part, it's a market that's crazy. It's a market that's unknown. It's a market that's unpredictable, and that's another reason why investors are staying out of the market right now. Investors do not want to get into something that's volatile, unpredictable, or unstable. And as that fact even hits harder with this impact from the coronavirus, these investors are actually pulling out of deals right and left until the market regains some stability. They're going to sit on the sidelines and wait it out. And can't blame them. I mean, it's just a crazy market with what's going on at this point. Nothing makes sense right now. And here's what we have to go off of. We have numbers that we're going off of that are 30 and 45 days old, meaning that was the escrows that just closed recently that weren't necessarily impacted by the coronavirus. So it's going to take a while to see kind of what the data reveals to us in the sense of how this is really impacting. But as I mentioned before, people are looking for reductions. People are looking to renegotiate. However, a lot of times sellers are not in a place where they're desperate, especially in this market that we've seen, which has been just fantastic for us, especially on the west side, with some markets even growing within the last 2 quarters by 10 and 12% with their median price. So what's that mean for the future? Well, no one can predict it. No one has a crystal ball. I can't necessarily predict it, but I'm seeing people getting wary, and wary happens, the market is going to change. And please stay dialed in with me, because I'm going to keep you dialed in on what's going on with the markets on the west side, specific markets, how the median price is being impacted, how days on market is being impacted, price per square foot is being impacted, just so you have a complete picture moving forward as to how this is going to really impact our local market here. I know on a national level, on a global level, it is extreme. So it's absolutely crazy when I wake up in the morning. I really just can't believe the news that is on TV 24/7 about this coronavirus. And here's the crazy part about it too, is that, we're about to enter our spring market, and our spring market is really dedicated to a catapult of bringing businesses, out into the open. Consumers are spending, buyers are back into the market after the winter lull, sellers are picking up on the inventory, bringing it new onto the market, and we're having the start of some energized feelings going on with the market and people buying and selling. And unfortunately, coronavirus is putting a nix on all of that. Like, that is not going to be a reality right now. People are not going out, as mentioned before, and buying and selling. And if you really need to do so, you're going to have to get really strategic about it. And we can definitely talk about that in future videos. But I want you to know, I want to keep you guys dialed in onto what to expect and what's coming as I become dialed in on it. I want to be able to share that with you. Also, please leave a comment below if you've got any questions. And I've got a few numbers that I'll provide in the description as well that are great resources locally in case you might be disabled or elderly or just in a position where you're just not able to get to the grocery store. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I want to be a resource for you. I live locally on the west side, so please stay tuned in, and I'll keep you posted and dialed in on everything that's coming. Until then, take care.